finance rates, and the best deals of the year on America's best-selling truck for 48 years in a row. Had your eye on a Bronco Sport? It's employee priced, and we've got over 60 to choose from. Full-size Bronco, we've got over 40. New shipments of Explorer, Expedition, and Escape have just hit the ground, too. Again, all things must come to an end, and the last day for employee pricing is July 7th. Time to hit it and get it. Employee pricing can save you up to thousands off MSRP. With over 600 Fords to choose from, there's a good chance you'll find exactly what you need. Woody Anderson Ford. It's important to see us before July 7th.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. As the Timberwolves did regarding a request for Coach Chris Finch, and the Rockets did with a request for Coach Ime Udoka, the Mavericks have denied the Knicks permission to speak to Coach Jason Kidd about their head coaching vacancy, reports ESPN's Shams Charania. Jay Wright, who coached 3 Knicks players at Villanova, recently informed New York he was not interested in the job. A little more than a week after his firing by the Knicks, former coach Tom Thibodeau took out a full-page ad in the New York Times, thanking his players, coaches, and the team's fans. The NBA Finals shift to Indiana for Game 3 tonight for the Thunder and Pacers, 7:30 Eastern ESPN Radio, 8:30 Eastern ABC. Indiana star Tyrese Halliburton dismissing any concerns over his injury status, said he's dealing with a lower leg issue, will be fine, had his right ankle taped yesterday at practice, but was not limited on the court.
Can you get me a little type shape?
I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown. I abuse you.
The lunchtime whistle and the morning's finally done. I'm jumping in my car. I'm gonna have a little fun. The Doghouse Network's on my radio dial. Big Dog's taking care of business for a while. Listen to another station I don't understand. Nobody does it like Tom Abraham.
Give us a call, Steve.
He's a northern-bred, southern-fed, slick-talking guy. Listeners in his posse are the junkyard dogs. The SEC from Tennessee to calling them hogs. They go up to Lexington to the Titan Tiger Land. Nobody does it like Tom Abraham.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Somebody respond.
It must be Wednesday. I called it Humpday. Uh-oh. Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Anybody? Mike. What day is it, Mike? That's what today is. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a truncated Hump Day in the Doghouse. We have Braves baseball coming up at 12:55 on all of our stations, so we're going to have a quick and dirty 55 minutes for you on this U.S. Open Eve. You know, Braves need to start winning some of these games in a row. You know what I mean? They broke that 7-game losing streak yesterday or 2 days ago, then they lost yesterday. They need to get a win here. They need to start winning some series. They got to get a little streak going here.
WCZN,
there you go.
Union Grove,
there you go.
Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN.
Yeah, there you go. Just in case you didn't know, what station you might have been listening to. But yeah, there you go. Braves need to get a little something going here. Be nice to see them get a little run where they win 10 out of 15. Something like that. Something between now and the All-Star break. Something that makes sense. Okay. So it is U.S. Open Eve. Yes, we do have a U.S. Open fecta for you. You're playing for a foursome at beautiful Cherokee Ridge, which is good all year long. All I need from you is your 3-man team for the U.S. Open. And you can call them in right now, or you can hit the text window with it up until 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. We are going to talk some U.S. Open with Matt Rudy coming up from Golf Digest. That's coming up a little bit later on. So be ready to get your picks in as soon as possible. Your team does not have to be unique. All right, it's not like, oh, this guy took my guy. No, your team doesn't have to be unique. if we end up with ties, we'll just split the group up if we have ties. Now, I don't expect all of you to say, Scotty and Bryson and Rom. Does it very rarely does it work out that way. It's not going to come out that way necessarily. Okay. I can help you with the favorites if you need that. Scotty is the favorite. In fact, he's the biggest favorite since Tiger Woods back in, I don't know, forget what it was, 2008 or something like that. Was it pre 7-iron to the face? Might have been the 7-iron to the face year. I'm not sure. In order of their favorites right now, Scotty, Bryson, John Rahm, Rory McIlroy. Be careful. I'm not telling you not to take Rory. I'm just saying he's played like crap for 2 weeks. Xander Schauffele, Ludwig Aberg might be a good pick. Colin Morikawa, Joaquin Niemann, Shane Lowry, who David Moulton said he liked yesterday. Sepp Straka, Tommy Fleetwood, Justin Thomas, Patrick Cantlay, Corey Connors, Victor Hovland, Terrell Hatton. I'm down into the 66-1s now. Russell Henley, Jordan Spieth is 70-1. Brooks Koepka is 70-1. You're gonna be kidding me. I gotta modify this thing sometime. I should say, if we have ties, whoever has the longest shot is the winner. That'll determine who the winner is. Something along those lines. And one of these days, I turn one of these golf trifectas into, your team vis-a-vis their odds. I probably won't do that. Patrick Reed is 80-1. Justin Rose is 90-1. Jason Day is 100-1. Okay? So be careful with those kind of people. If you go JJ Spawn, he's 150-1. Don't go there. I'm just looking at the rest of the field here. Anyway, so we'll take your picks on that. We welcome those of you that are watching on the X and the Facebook and the YouTube. Check that out if you haven't already. Welcome those of you listening on the apps of your favorite station, those of you listening in Nashville over the air on WNSR and in Winchester on WCDT and in Huntsville on our flagship station, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. 6 signals, 1 phone number, 256-576-4977. That gets you into the show. 256-576-4977. You can line up right behind Wolverine Dan. You can text the show, 7329TA show, 732-982-7469. Great way to pick your picks in. Some of you have already put your picks in through the text window. So that's a good job by you guys jumping on board with that. I think Bama Brad is in through the text window. I think there's several guys that have gotten in through the text window. So you can use that if you would like to. Check out your Big Zone deals for great deals all around the Tennessee Valley. And soon we'll launch Big Nash deals. You'll get tremendous offers throughout Middle Tennessee. Just search those out on the Google, get an account, and you're notified of deals on food and golf and more. Right now we have a special going on through today. It's it. There's a special going on Cherokee Ridge, $50 for $130 value. 2 players in a cart for $50. $50. That's incredible. That's a really good deal. It's a really good deal. ESPN's Football Power Index has made some projections earlier this week. And I didn't get a chance to get to it yet. I would like to comment on it. I may get to it, trying to get to it today. See if we can jump some of that information. This is not just some willy-nilly. There's data involved. There's math. This is not just some willy-nilly thing. There's math involved. According to the ESPN website, quote, FPI is a predictive rating system that estimates each FBS team's strength in points per game relative to the national average on offense, on defense, on special teams. Then it makes adjustments for starters lost, recruiting talent, and other personnel changes. Those numbers are then plugged into the schedule, and then everything is simulated 20,000 times to track each team's odds of winning a conference or making the playoff or advancing to the national title. Okay? That's what it said. That's what it says. So there's math here involved. The Texas Longhorns have the highest ranking in the Football Power Index. They have a 28.5 FPI number, projected to win 10.5 games in the regular season. Their making the playoff chances is 84%. Their chances of winning the national championship is 22%. It's math. Now, I don't mean to tick off the unknown texter because he says, he doesn't want me to be an entertainer. He wants me to be a reporter. And he wants me to just give details, facts. He doesn't want my opinion. He doesn't think that this show is based on my opinion. I try to tell him, I'm looking for accuracy. I'm looking for objectiveness. I'm an entertainer. I'm not a reporter. I say it all the time. I don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. I'm trying to put a smile on your lunchtime face. But these here are facts. You want facts? I got facts. Georgia Bulldogs. What conference are they playing? Oh, they're in the SEC. They're number 2 in FBI. 26.6 rating, 10.1 wins, 78% playoff, 0.5% chance of winning it all. Oh, the Big Ten. 70.6% chance of making the playoff. 11% chance. Alabama Crimson Tide. What conference are they in? Oh, they're in the SEC. So 3 of the top 4 SEC. They show the Tide with a projected win total at 9.5. 10-2, they're in the playoff. 9-3, probably are not. And they're showing projected win total at 9.5, but a 66% chance of making the playoff. 10.4% chance of winning the whole shebang. So 10% chance of winning. I'll tell you what, having a 10% chance of winning a national championship, you can live with that. The next 2 are from the Big Ten, Penn State and Oregon. And then you got your first ACC team, first of 2, Clemson and Miami, 7 and 8. Notre Dame is 9. In the Tennessee by God Volunteers lead the next 5 teams, which are all from the SEC. Tennessee, Texas A&M, LSU, Ole Miss, Auburn. That's 10 through 14. Let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of the top 14 teams in the Football Power Index. Let me say it again. 8 of the top 14. I'm no math major, but that's more than half are from the SEC. Then we get a Big Ten team in Michigan, and then we get 2 more SEC teams in South Carolina, Oklahoma. By the way, if you're looking for the data on Tennessee and Auburn, Tennessee with a 38% chance of making the playoff, 8.5 win projected total, 2.3% chance of winning the whole shebang. And Auburn with a Football Power Index of number 14 in the country, only 7.5 though, and the projected wins because they have a brutal schedule. A 22% chance of making the playoff for Auburn. 22% chance, Auburn, that you make the playoff. 25% chance that Michigan makes the playoff. They're 1 spot behind Auburn, but a 22% chance for Auburn because schedule, conference. Auburn has a 1.1% chance of winning The entire thing. So there's a 99% chance that they're not going to win the national championship. Michigan also has a 1% chance of winning the whole thing. That's the top 15 teams have more than a 1% chance. After that, it gets into percentages of 1% chances. So that's what they're saying. That's what's out there. All kinds of numbers. I'm just giving you a little bit of the highlights. Just giving you the highlights. All right. Cross the glass. Playing the platters that matter. Stacks of wax. Answering phones. Ready to take your calls for the U.S. Open Fecta. It's the one and the only. Jumpin' Joe Hunk.
Do you know who I am?
No, who is this?
Who is this guy?
Who in the blue hell are you?
I'm the producer of this show. If I didn't step up, you're nowhere. I put the thing together out of spit and polish.
I'm very important.
I think this is one of the traits of a really good producer. Keep the talent happy.
I don't like violence. I'm a businessman.
You want to boo me? Fine.
Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
You come at the Kings, you better not miss.
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni.
Let me show for y'all. Got a damn good show.
I will not wear that body anymore.
All right, Joe. So your Volunteers, they have a 2% chance of winning the national championship. And your Auburn Tigers, they have a 1% chance of winning the national championship. So I guess that means Tennessee has twice a chance of winning the Natty than Auburn. What do you think about that? Which one do you think has a better shot of shocking the world?
The trueness is Tennessee has an infinite number of more opportunities than what Auburn does to win the national championship because Auburn has no chance whatsoever. So I would have to pick Tennessee out of those two.
Well, they got 1%.
Yeah, that 1% is an
chance,
exaggeration.
2%.
Yeah, it's an exaggeration.
So what about the 2 point? So you think the 2.3% chance for Tennessee with no quarterback is that's a better shot? You think?
Yeah,
than
Auburn with no quarterback nor coach. Yeah, it's a much better shot.
Auburn might have a quarterback.
No, they don't have a quarterback. They don't have a quarterback or a coach.
See, when you look at Tennessee's schedule, so what did they say? 8.5? You said 8.5 for Tennessee, 9.5 for Alabama. When you look at 8.5 for Tennessee, assuming I'm going to say they beat Syracuse, they beat ETSU, lose to Georgia, beat UAB, beat Mississippi State. So they come out of the chute 4-1, beat Arkansas 5-1, lose at Alabama 5-2, beat Kentucky at Kentucky 6-2, beat Oklahoma 7-2, beat New Mexico State 8-2, at Florida, tag them with a loss there 8-3, and beat Vandy at home 9-3. There you go. I think Tennessee is around 9-3. If they lose to Syracuse, then they're 8-3. But if they lose to Syracuse, they might lose to Vandy. They'd be 8-4 if they lose to Syracuse. 9-3, 8-4. So I think the 8.5 is a legit number. Don't you think? I think that's a pretty solid number for them.
Oh, that's much more solid. No, there's a real opportunity in it too. You also have a quarterback that people have even said, as far as a passer is concerned, is better than what Nico was previously. And if that is the case, then you could have a better offense. Auburn, on the other hand, yeah, there's no chance.
So if Auburn, what do you think? Auburn at Baylor. Let's give Auburn the win on Friday night at Baylor. See what that looks like. So if Auburn beats Baylor, because Baylor kind of sucks. So if Auburn beats Baylor, that's 1. Ball State 2. South Alabama 3. Lose at Oklahoma. Lose at Texas A&M 3-2 when you get to the break. Lose against Georgia 3-3. Missouri's a toss-up. Let's say they beat Missouri 4 and win at Arkansas 5 and Kentucky 6. Mercer is 7. Lose to Alabama. So Vanderbilt would be the swing game for them. Vanderbilt, Baylor, and Missouri. So Vanderbilt, Baylor, and Missouri is the difference between a 5-win season, a 6-win season, or a 7-win season for Auburn. They got them at 7.5. I'm having a hard time seeing Auburn get to 8.
Yeah, they're not going to beat Vandy. They're not going to beat Missouri. So Then maybe beat Kentucky because that's just that one of, oh, look, they figured out how to play. But no, they're not beating any of those teams. I mean, they'll be towards the very bottom of the SEC.
So if they win the 4 non-conference, they're not going to be favored at Oklahoma or Texas A&M. Georgia. I mean, Arkansas might be a toss-up game too at Arkansas.
Oh, yeah, I forgot you said they beat Arkansas. No, they're losing Arkansas too.
Okay. Well, you're not feeling it, are you?
No, I want him gone. I literally want him gone.
You're like 5-7 is what you're saying right now.
No, we shouldn't even be at 5-7. Like 5-7 is a mistake if we get that right there. No, that's awful.
Now let me get Wolverine Dan in here so he can show these people how you make these picks. Wolverine Dan, welcome to the show. How are you?
What's up, bro?
You are.
Yeah, man, I'm outside, man. You know, getting a little suntan, working on my bushes, and getting my work done today because tomorrow we're going to hit that little white ball again every Thursday, Tom.
You better put a little something on that head of yours because you're going to have much hair protecting your skull anymore.
Well, I understand that, Tom, but you know what? That's okay. I understand. When I feel the burn, that's when I put the hat on. By then it's too late. But anyway.
Give me your three-man team.
Tigers are still number one team in baseball. Everything's good. My Michigan Wolverines are defensively look solid. So,
hey, you got a 1%. You got a 1% chance of winning the national championship. So, there you go.
There's not much difference between 9% and 1%. So I wouldn't be too boastful. Alabama's only got 9.
Yeah, well, no, Alabama's at, did I say 9? 10 and 10.4. 9.5 wins. 10.4% chance for Alabama to win it all, which is 4th highest.
Well,
and Michigan is at 1%, which is 15th.
Yeah, but according to you, my Lions suck. My Michigan Wolverines suck, But,
I don't think the Lions suck. I think the Lions are 10-7. I don't think they suck, but they got a really tough schedule.
Okay, well, we'll see. Anyway, let me show you people how it's done for crying out loud.
All right, give us a rundown on this. Who do you like? Give me a 3-man team for the U.S. Open.
The bigger question is how many people will not take Scotty Scheffler? I think everybody's going to take Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah, remember in the old days with Tiger, we used to say Tiger plus 2. Give me the 2 guys with Tiger. So we'll put Scotty first. All right, who are your other 2 guys?
Okay, Bryson DeChambeau.
All right.
And then
who's your 3rd guy?
Colin Morikawa. Oh. You got it?
Those are good picks. All right.
Okay, thank you.
We got you.
Okay.
All right, good job.
I appreciate it. All right, have a great week. Hey, have a great Father's Day for crying out loud.
You too. It's only Wednesday. We can say that on Friday.
So much. You got your own dang football team.
Yeah, hold that for Friday. It would be interesting to see how many show up. I mean, San Diego's not showing up. Florida's not showing up. Maybe Nashville will show up. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how many show up.
All right, man. See you.
So Bill is the golf pro over at Gunner's Landing? All right, let me talk to Bill. He knows something about this. Bill, welcome in. How are you?
Hey, what's up, Tom? It's Dylan Sanderson. How are you?
I am fantastic. How you doing?
Good, Tom. Hey, I was just curious what year excuse me, what your U.S. Open picks were.
I can't get you can't get away from Scotty. I mean, there's just you got to at least pick him because if he doesn't win, he's going to be in the top 5. You know what I mean? You got to feel that way.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think DeChambeau is going to spray it a little too much. I don't hate Rahm. I don't hate Schauffele. Ludwig Auberg. I think Auberg is a guy that I think I like Auberg. In this deal,
I think you could see Aubert go. Sky's the limit for him. I would say, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I'm looking down the list. I think it's a short field. I mean, Justin Thomas. I have no confidence in him right now. The way he's liable to be on the first page of the leaderboard. He's liable to miss the cut. You know what I mean? It's hard to get your arms around a guy like that. Maybe a guy like Sepp Straka, that's hanging in there not to win, but a guy that's in the top 10, something like that.
Yeah. What do you think about maybe a shorter hitter like a Harmon or a Henley
I'm a little worried about the weather. They're talking about rain, steady rain throughout. Now, what that does is that puts your drive, as you know, that you don't get the rollout. And so now you're a little bit further away. But on the other hand, the greens could hold a little bit better. The greens are supposedly, 15 on the stent meter. They're going to be very, very tight. So, it's like pick your poison. Do you want you can have a longer drive or a green that you can't hold? But yeah, I mean, the history of the Open in the past was, I always say this over and over again. It would be like you used to get winners. The same guy that shot 6 under at the Bob Hope Desert Classic would shoot 600 at the Open and win the Open. You know what I mean? Well, everybody else is shooting 20 under. You know what I mean? Because he keeps it in the middle. Remember back in the day when the Scott Simpsons and the Andy Norths and those kind of guys were winning the Open all the time? Corey Pavin, because they kept it straight and down the middle, and they were never in trouble. They took away that second cut of rough. They took that away. So now if you miss the fairway, you're immediately into the 5-inch thick rough.
Right. Yeah. That's the big factor I look at. I mean, you've seen DeChambeau be able to gouge it out and win one. But I don't know. It's tough to say. I'd go more towards a dark horse this year, like Henley or the other one I said. I'm sorry, I forgot. But and maybe even was going to get your opinion on what you thought of Akshay Bhatia. He's kind of
yeah, he's been coming on, and he's the kind of guy that keeps it in play. Anybody that can keep anybody that can keep it in play like that. Let me see where he is on the. I wonder what his odds are. He's got to be down the list a little bit.
Tough to go away from a Scheffler or a McIlroy, though.
Typically, Akshay Bhatia is 110 to 1. He's down there in between Maverick McNeely and where's our guy Hodges? So where's the local kid?
Oh yeah, Canebrake.
He played well. I haven't been out to Canebrake in forever. I've never played your course. I got to get down there and play your course. I mean, that's a shot maker's course, right? That is, it's not real long, but it's relatively tight. I've seen the course, but I've never played out there.
We got to get you out there.
Yeah, I got to get out there and play that place.
Hey, right. I appreciate the time, Thom. I was just curious what you thought.
All right. Well, I appreciate you getting in, man. Good job by you.
Take care, man.
Thanks, Bill. Where is Hodges? I know he qualified. I know he qualified. I had asked, maybe not, because, I asked that AI person. I asked that person whether or not he was in the U.S. Open, and it said yes. Now I'm not finding him on the list here. I don't think he's in the Open. Not in the Open. All right, we get a break. When we come back, Matt Rudy will join us from Golf Digest. We'll get his take on all of this right after this on the Thom Abraham Show.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Since 1983, Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate's Ann Adams has been your local go-to real estate expert in the area. As a buyer, you can trust Ann's in-depth knowledge of the local housing market to narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in, saving you time when shopping for a new home. When you're ready to sell, Ann's expert negotiation skills will ensure you get a fair price and hassle-free experience. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or email annadamsrise@gmail.com. Where's the best place for sports? What about the best place for wings? If you answered Jefferson's for both, you're right. Jefferson's is also a great place for value. Every Monday, kids eat free with the purchase of an adult meal, and teachers bring your teacher ID, and you eat free every first Tuesday of the month up to $15. And Owens Crossroads, Jefferson's will be opening a new location at 326 Sutton Road very soon. Jefferson's, best place for sports, best place for wings. Hampton Cove, and soon in Owens Crossroads.
Tom Abraham here for my friends at Your Home Window Company. When it comes to replacement windows, exterior doors, or new window screens, Your Home Window is the answer anywhere in Huntsville, Athens, Decatur, or Hartselle. Your Home Window windows and doors are made here in the USA and come with a lifetime warranty. When replacing those old windows or doors, Your Home Window has the solution for you. In-home estimates are always free and financing is available. Learn more at yourhomewindow.com and see clearly with Your Home Window. Visit yourhomewindow.com to make an appointment today.
All good things must come to an end. That holds true for employee pricing, too. Hey, folks, it's Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford. The last day for employee pricing is going to be July 7th. Up until then, you can buy the new Ford you want and pay what we pay. We've got nearly 150 F-150s to choose from with generous finance rates and the best deals of the year on America's best-selling truck for 48 years in a row. Had your eye on a Bronco Sport? It's employee priced, and we've got over 60 to choose from. Full-size Bronco, we've got over 40. New shipments of Explorer, Expedition, and Escape have just hit the ground, too. Again, all things must come to an end, and the last day for employee pricing is July 7th. Time to hit it and get it. Employee pricing can save you up to thousands off MSRP. With over 600 Fords to choose from, there's a good chance you'll find exactly what you need. Woody Anderson Ford. It's important to see us before July 7th.
Would you call a plumber for a root canal? The same goes for selling your timberland or farm. Choose someone who understands your property and can help you on the front end so you can capitalize on the back end. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction. As a guide, I have put many hunters in position to take a shot. It's time for you to take your shot. Let's talk about putting you in position to sell your property. Call me at 256-609-0512. Remember, Bo knows land.
Your customers deserve the best, and so do you. You invest in your customers with your heart, soul, and skill. Well, it's time to invest in yourself with the next generation Cat 255 compact track loader from Thompson Tractor. After all, those who give their best deserve the best, and this machine has it all. With features that include a more powerful engine, tri-axle truck loading capabilities, a spacious cab, and a smooth ride for all-day comfort. Best of all, now Thompson Tractor is making that investment even better with our workhorse special. Get 0% financing for 36 months on the purchase of a new Cat 255 compact track loader that comes with a 3-year warranty. You also get a 74-inch bucket and 1,000-hour filter kit. But hurry, this offer is only good through June 30th. Visit ThompsonTractor.com for details. Thompson Tractor, we're here for you.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This segment of the show is brought to you by the Orthopedic Center, where thousands of area residents have gotten world-class care from the Valley's most trusted and experienced group of orthopedic surgeons and medical specialists. So if you have an orthopedic problem and you're considering professional care, TOC is the only logical choice. Whether you have a work-related injury or got sidelined playing a sport you love, you need the best care, the best physicians, the best facility to get you back in a game. And I think you're going to agree that the Orthopedic Center is right for you. And welcome back to Tom Abraham Show. And, of course, it's a U.S. Open week, and we're taking your picks in the U.S. Open. Fecta, I know we have a short show today. Remember, Braves baseball coming up. We'll be bailing out at about 12:55. So you can get in, though, via the text window. You could go ahead and send me your three-man team. You can do it right up until, let's say, right up until 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. You know, if you want to do it early tomorrow morning, you can do that. But look, when it's major time, we talked to Matt Rudy from Golf Digest. He is outstanding with this stuff, and he's got a new book that he's working on as well. And he joins us now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Matt, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing all right. The sun's out. It's a nice day to get ready for a U.S. Open.
Yeah, I wonder if the sun's going to stay out the whole time, because this place is tough enough, Oakmont. I mean, this is the ultimate U.S. Open course, the ultimate test of golf. Boy, if you mix in weather, on the other hand, though, weather might be help the scoring, right? I mean, it might slow down these 16 meter greens out there.
Yeah, I think you can pick your poison. You can have rainy, moist roughs that you can't really get a club through, or you can have it clear up and be sunny and watch that grass grow 3 more inches by the end of the weekend. I'm not at this point. I don't know that there's a good answer. And I think there's been so much talk this week about how hard it is and how difficult the greens are and how thick the grass is. It's really going to be an interesting study because of how that can really invade a player's mind. I think you either go there and decide you're going to play it, just play it as you see it and not worry too much about it. Or, like a lot of great players have said before, Tigers said it repeatedly. The majors were easier to win because there's a big chunk of people that talk themselves out of it before you even get to Thursday.
Well, it does feel like people are talking themselves out of this one because they're just talking about how brutal it is there, and you can't swing a dead cat without seeing a video about a ball being dropped into the rough and it disappears. So there is that. Now they've had more U.S. Opens at Oakmont than anywhere, starting in 1927 when Tommy Armour shot 13 over, and the course was par 72 back then. So I don't think it'll be 13 over. But, 2007, Angel Cabrera won there. It was a 70 par then, and he shot 5 over and won. But in 2016, the last one, when Dustin Johnson won, he was 4 under. So I would think that somewhere between 4 under and 5 over, is just probably where this thing will end up.
It's impressive. The USGA, the way they set the courses up, they always say that their ambition is to land it right around par. And it was always an impressive thing to me that somewhere there'd be some dials or something that someone's turning to get it right so that the winning score can be around there. But I've been critical. I've been critical on your show about the way the USGA sets up courses because I don't think car crashes and super brutal conditions are all that entertaining. I like when there are options for players to try different things. Just hitting it down a hallway, being the best at hitting it down a hallway to me is not a representative of who the best player is. The one thing I will say is at least what they've done now with the U.S. Open is over the last few years, there's been a wider variety of courses. You had Pinehurst was really its own complete kind of thing, and we had a great finish, very exciting. Somebody had a chance to get up and down to win the tournament, and Bryson hits the bunker shot of all time and does it. And then you look at at LA Country Club, and there was a little bit more room to play off the tee there, and now this one is kind of back to a traditional getting your head kicked in U.S. Open. So at least there's some variety that among the venues. So even if we get kind of a death match this week, I guess that's going to be okay.
Yeah. And what I'm happy about is they kind of went away. We went through a period of time that we got winners at the U.S. Open that were guys. I mean, we went through the Andy Norths and the Larry Nelsons and the Tim Simpson or Scott Simpson type guys that were, the same guy that shot 6 under at the Bob Hope Desert Classic, shot 6 under in the U.S. Open and won it because it was just short and straight was what it took to win. That's the thing. I want to see a setup where a guy can recover a little bit. You know what I mean? Where a guy can go, so that's what's going to be interesting. A lot of people jumping on Bryson DeChambeau, but if he's off by just a fraction, he could be 330 off the tee and in the junk. I want to see guys that have an ability to recover, and sometimes they don't set it up that way.
Yeah, they've taken out the graduated rough. The big difference from when Dustin Johnson won to this one is they had the graduated rough then, meaning if you were just slightly offline, you might catch a lie. But then the farther away you went, the more trouble you're in. This, from what I have been seeing and I've been checking in with different coaches, this is if you get just in a little bit of a wrong spot, I mean, you can be stuck forever. And so I agree. I mean, I think that bounces and luck of the draw kind of stuff, that's part of golf. But if you hit a 97% high quality tee shot that just happens to trickle in a bad spot and you make a double, I mean, that's a little bit of a different thing. And I also think the green, people don't realize with the green complexes, and I know you and I have talked about this before, the putting is just the beginning of the story on these green complexes when the greens are so fast. The biggest issue is hitting approach shots and short game shots onto those green complexes. And I've heard a variety of coaches and players say the same thing. the green speed is not really even an issue because the speeds this week are pretty much the same speeds that they saw at Augusta National. But at Augusta National, there's a larger planes of space on each green where you can land a ball to hit a predictable shot. Yeah. Here, the spaces to land the ball. Number one, this is a course that they don't play every year, so the familiarity is a little bit different, obviously. And then there's some really kind of crazy roller coaster. The slopes make it so that if you're in a certain spot, you don't even have the ability to keep the ball in the green.
Yeah,
and that's the kind of thing where one bad swing. What I think the genius of Augusta National is it can play difficult, but it also gives you opportunities, like you were just saying, to make a birdie or to take a risk and to do something. Here, you could be in one bad position and make a double, and that makes the scoreboard move pretty fast.
Yeah, no, it does. Below the hole means more here than anywhere else. I mean, that's the thing, and it eliminates. In many cases, it could eliminate 60, 70% of the green. Because above the hole means you might not keep it on the green, with the putt. No matter how, you just can't stop it. And so that's there's that. Matt Rudy with us here talking about this U.S. Open that'll get started tomorrow morning at Oakmont. The other thing is when we look at the history of Oakmont, there are numbers that are deceiving. For example, when Jack Nicklaus won in 62, he was 1 under par. But it was par 70, just same course, different tee boxes at different places and so on. But it was par 72, which means today that 1 under on a par 72 is 7 over. And that's when Johnny Miller won in 73, he was 5 under, and the course was set up as a par 71. It's been a par 70 now, since the 2007 U.S. Open, which makes Dustin Johnson's 4 under in 2016 that much more impressive. But like you say, it was set up a little bit differently. But that's the other way to kind of trick things up a little bit. I mean, does it have to be a par 70? Some of these holes, like I said, 300 yard, basically a 290 yard par 3. I mean, that would be an awful fun 310 yard par 4. I mean, I know they do have a couple of shorties like that. 17 is about 312, and then 18 is a 500 yard par 4. Which doesn't really lend to, well, I guess some drama on that will be the scores going up, not necessarily somebody going low, on 18 to win. But, that's the other thing that they do. They mess with par a lot in the U.S. Open.
Yeah, and everybody's got to play the same course. So they're just measuring how you do on that 300 yard par 3 relative to how everybody else does. But I've spoken with different USGA folks over the years, and that moving par around, doing these kinds of things ahead of the tournament is very intentionally designed to mess with people. It's designed to mess with players and create adversity and stress because they very strongly believe that that's a part of the game that should be tested. You shouldn't be going out there and hitting, perfect shots from perfect flat lies to perfect, and have everything laid out in front of you. They believe that the true test of the world's greatest golfer is not just your ability to hit a perfect 7-iron from a perfect lie, but to deal with all this kind of stuff. And I don't disagree with portions of that. I do think you need to be able to deal with adversity, but the record speaks for itself. If you look at all the greatest players, the consensus greatest players in the history of the game, you have to go back to Ben Hogan before you find one who had his best record in a major at the U.S. Open. Mm-hmm. Jack Nicklaus didn't have his best record at the U.S. Open. Tiger didn't have his best record at the U.S. Open. It's traditionally rewarded, as you mentioned earlier, a kind of golf that is not necessarily a comprehensive game. It rewards a very particular kind of skill. I do think they're getting better in recent years. And more importantly, I think they're getting better at making it a good show. I mean, let's keep in mind, this is a TV show, right. It's a sporting event. It's no different than the Super Bowl, no different than any other big sporting event. And the whole goal is to design a competition where the best, most iconic players in the sport can, have a chance to win it at the end. If you get 2 or 3 or 5 outlier kind of players that do one, not very interesting thing very well, and they're the ones who are going to win this race or win this tournament, you're doing a disservice to the whole sport. So, but watching what we watched at Pinehurst last year, for example, gives you some faith that the mixture that they're creating is headed in the right direction, because that gave us pretty much everything you could ask for. Rory and Bryson and bogeys and birdies and drama, hard shots and places where you can challenge and try to hit the ball on the green. That, to me, that's what makes golf great.
All right, so let's look at some of the players here. Now, Scotty Scheffler is out of his gourd right now. I mean, he's just playing so well. I mean, it's on a different level. But having said, in fact, he's the biggest favorite since Tiger Woods years ago. In this thing, I mean, it's almost, there's no value from a better standpoint. There's no value almost taking Scotty Scheffler at plus 275. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But having said that, and I love Scotty Scheffler, the next two favorites are Bryson DeChambeau and Jon Rahm, who are live golf players. And we have never had the field split in the history of golf like we do now, where we have so many great players that aren't playing together week in and week out. So when we talk about Scotty and his greatness, is it really fair to compare him to what Tiger did, what Jack did, what Arnie did, whoever in history of golf, when he's not looking across the way at Bryson and Jon Rahm and the rest of the guy, Brooks Koepka and the other guys that are over there week in and week out at all of these events? I mean, it's like, yeah, you're the best on the PGA Tour, but the PGA Tour is obviously fractured. Is it fair to hold that against him a little bit?
I don't hold it against him, because just candidly, I think the PGA Tour is deeper now than it was at any of those times you mentioned. There are more good players. There's more athletic players. There's more young players who are not afraid to come out and compete right away. The mechanics of getting on the tour were just different in 1960. And I think the reality during Jack's time was that there was a smaller handful of people that could challenge him. Now, I think there are fewer people week in and week out to compete with Scotty at the top. But if you look at the tournaments that Scotty's winning, for example, or that Xander Schauffele won last year, all those guys you just mentioned are in all those tournaments. Jon Rahm was in all those tournaments.
Yeah.
Bryson DeChambeau is in all those tournaments. We still measure people by majors.
Well, but they don't see him week in and week out, though, right? I mean, you're not seeing him. When he goes to.
That's true, but nobody is going to look at Brooks Koepka's career and say, well, how many Phoenix Opens did you win?
Yeah,
they're going to say, how many majors did you win? And I also think that if you look at the statistics, the strokes gained statistics, and the way Scotty is playing relative to all the people he tees it up against week in and week out, the dominance that he's expressing right now statistically, the fields there I think are irrelevant. If you're looking at the way he's hitting the ball off the tee and he's hitting the ball tee to green, that's the kind of dominance that we haven't seen since Tiger. Just the pure ball striking. I mean, he's 15% better than any other player on the PGA Tour right now in strokes gained off the tee. I mean, that's just an incredible margin at the top of the sport. I mean, you're talking, when you're talking like an F1 race or a sprint in the Olympics,
right?
A 15% difference between number one and number two. I mean, that's unheard of. I mean, that's crazy.
Well, the one thing is that we will, depending on how these guys continue to play, the field will start of live golfers that make it into a major is going to start getting shorter and shorter and shorter, because they're not getting points. They shouldn't, and they don't. They're not getting golf ranking points, world golf ranking points, and their exemptions are going to start to go away. So, outside of the very few that are still finishing high enough to continue with exemptions or winning to have those exemptions. I mean, it could come a point in time when there's only 3 of them out there or 4 of them out there, and that would be a trouble.
Yeah,
that'd be a problem.
I think that's absolutely true, and I think what is going to solve that eventually is that there's too much money that everybody can make if they do the logical thing and figure out a way for everybody to play together. So, I mean, you would have to hope that all of the people making those decisions say, okay, this. We can have our pride about it, and we can, we can do all the saber rattling. But the reality is, it's the most popular when there's about 20 or 21 events a year when all these people play. So what does that look like? How are we going to do that? And I think there's an answer for that. And I think the majors, all 4 of them, have done a good job of trying to diffuse some of that by giving the live players some pathway to get in there. And you're starting to see some of the live players, for example, you get their DP World Tour membership back because they want to have a pathway to play in the Ryder Cup. But I mean, you're right. You and I have talked about this on this show. There should be a consequence if you're going to take the money. And part of the reason they got paid so much money is what they had to give up, and they gave up with eyes open.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can't. I don't think you can take the money and then expect that you're just going to be able to come back and pretend like you didn't take the money.
And I don't think people.
So I think there does have to be a pathway. But I think they're going to figure it out because the product is better. To your point, when all those players are playing together.
And you say 2025, I'd be happy. I would be happy with 12 to 15. I mean, if they could, whatever those premier events are, I want them all at the Memorial. You know what I mean? I want them all at the Players or whatever. If we could just get them together for 12 to 15, because the season's so long anyway. And look, on the PGA Tour, Tiger's the one that invented the 15 tournament schedule for the most part, where it got to point. So you're not seeing them all anyway. But give me instead of 4. Give me 12. Give me 2 a month. Yeah. If I get 2 a month, I'm happy. That kind of thing.
And I do think it's important, and this part gets lost too much. Is there does need to be a mechanism to create stars. I mean, you got to have enough tournaments where good players play, that somebody who's not in that echelon yet can show up and do something where it matters. I mean, if you win the event gets played opposite of one of these other elevated events, I mean, yes, you're a PGA Tour winner, but that's not the same as being the young guy who comes out and wins the big one. So how do we continue to make stars in golf? There has to be a pathway for those players to come play events against good players, and they've got to win some of those. Yeah.
And I don't know if young players play and live. I mean, I don't know. Are there players that would be, rookies on a PGA Tour that are actually rookies over there, on live? It seems like they elevate from, the Korn Ferry to the PGA Tour. And then at some particular point in time, maybe they end up over at live. I don't know how it works. And I don't think people realize how important 72 versus 54 is, how important playing the course as it is designed as opposed to a shotgun is, and how important a cut is, and not having just straight guaranteed money, and how that affects a golfer. I think when we're comparing, that's definitely apples and oranges. It's a whole nother world when you you got to check one way or the other. Yeah. That's different golf.
Well, yeah, and I think that it matters when you're playing in a tournament where winning matters. For example, the stress that they feel this week, the person who sleeps on the lead this Saturday night going into Sunday, the amount that of the purse, how much you're going to make to win the U.S. Open is not why those people are going to be sleeping poorly. The reality is, if you get paid $200 million to go play and live, that's great. I mean, it's good for your family, but I don't think that Joaquin Niemann is losing sleep because he's sleeping on the lead at the tournament in Virginia.
Yeah, exactly.
There's just not as many people watching it, and the stakes just aren't the same. And I think to evaluate the champions, and I think you wouldn't get, Bryson would say this himself, you evaluate the champions based on how they deal with that, the pressure of winning the U.S. Open. That's just different because the tournaments, the traditional majors, and even the Players Championship, those wins mean something because of what you had to endure to win them.
Yeah. And in some cases, sleeping on a 74 on Thursday night, where you got to shoot 67 the next day, or you're not getting a check. For the younger guys. I mean, that's a thing too. Matt Rudy with us. All right, so you handle instruction for Golf Digest. I got to ask you one instructional question, and this is kind of personal, but I think all of our listeners will benefit from this. My swing is pretty much the same swing that I've had since college. I mean, I'm talking about 40 years ago, whatever, however many years ago, 50 years ago. Anyway, a long time ago, I've pretty much have had the same swing. The only thing that's changed is that it's gotten slower and slower. So swing speed is slower and so on. But my grip and the way I take the club, everything, it's pretty much the same swing that I've always had. There's all this stuff out there instruction wise about different things to do. You need to tuck the elbow in, you need to, slot it and all of that kind of stuff.
can a player really change that much of their swing, or is your swing kind of your swing? Is it kind of like you have a natural swing, and you know, after you've been playing with it for so many years, you know, how much change can you really make? Because it feels like when I try to make some changes, it goes really bad.
Well, I can tell you that much more importantly than changing your swing, especially if you've played for a long time, what's changing for everybody is your body is changing. You know, I'm 52 and I can't swing as fast as I could when I was 42 or 32. And I know you're a relatively young man, but I bet you don't swing it as fast as you did because you're just not able to get as much energy into the club so that the club can then that energy can then go out again when you get to the downswing. So I would say for most players, if you're over 40 years old even, I mean, working on your swing is fine and making some technique improvements, that's an important thing. But a much bigger thing, I think, is being able to wind the energy into your swing more successfully. That means stretching. It means going to the gym. It means making a few tweaks. You know, for example, the way you set your feet up in your address position, if you create the ability to move a little bit more dynamically in the backswing and get some more energy into the club earlier, you can use the same swing you have and hit it farther. That's not a grip change, and that's not, you need to be flatter in the backswing. That's just getting some more energy into the club and then getting it out again. So that's where I would be looking for my improvement.
There you go. Great answer. Love that. Matt Rudy has been our guest. Matt, we appreciate you so much. We'll talk next month, and enjoy the week. I'm glad you're like the rest of us. We can all kind of crash on the couch and watch a little bit of this. And it's Father's Day Sunday, so nobody can mess with us and say, "Oh, come on, we got to do that." It's our day, so we get to sit there and watch golf all day long.
Yeah, I'm going to put my money on Ludwig Oberg. That's my pick.
Oh, that's your guy. Okay, Oberg is the guy that
strokes gained off the tee. That's where you want to find your picks this week.
You got any wild card? I mean, I got a guy that's just a sleeper. If somebody wants to go nuts and take somebody that's a little deeper in the field.
Kirk Kitayama, he's great in that strokes gained off the tee too, and that's somebody who's going to be pretty far down the list.
All right, sounds good. All right, man, appreciate you.
You bet.
All right, thanks. There you go.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
The official freight and logistics company of the Atlanta Braves. Corona Extra, La Playa awaits. Georgia Power, the official electric energy partner of the Atlanta Braves. IBEW Local 613. Truist Park keeps the lights on with IBEW.